Dear students, Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Angiosperm Morphology course with the discussion of stem or shoot. This is the third chapter that we have started, and in the previous video or the first video or the introductory video we discussed these two things: the composition or what the shoot consists of, and it consists of main axis and leaves and a bud which is present mostly on its apex, and then the characteristics that it is phototropic, that is it almost always tends to grow upwards in the air towards light, and it bears these structures, the appendages, leaves, and in the reproductive season flowers and fruits, and it has its apex covered by small leaves, and which taken together constitute the apical bud or the terminal bud, and the branches that are given off from the stem or shoot, they are exogenous in nature. So what is exogenous and endogenous, it will be discussed in the anatomy portion, so stay tuned. Now a short introduction to what we call nodes and internodes. We have already seen these terms in the very first chapter, introductory chapter, parts of an angiosperm plant. So this is a stem, and a part on the stem or point on the stem from which a leaf arises is known as the node. So this part, this particular area, this is the node. It may or may not be distinguishable from the other parts of the stem, like the areas above and areas below the node. Usually it has somewhat different shape. There might be some type of scar, or this part of the stem may be slightly enlarged than the rest of the stem. Not great difference, and as I said in that video as well, that this is not a rule. So this particular area, as you can see, it has somewhat bigger diameter or girth, and this is the node. So from the node leaves arise and flowers, and a regular structure which is found at the node is the bud, and that is axillary bud or what we call lateral bud. So lateral bud is a common structure found here in the axil of the leaf, and if you remember in the very first video, so let's draw it again. This is stem and this is its node. We have a leaf here in the arising from the node. Now there are two angles. Now this is the stalk of the leaf, the petiole, and as you can see, this is the lower angle between the petiole and the stem, and this is the upper angle. So this is lower angle and this is the upper angle. As far as our morphology is concerned, this particular angle, the upper one, is the important one, and we are interested in this upper angle and not the lower one, because lower one has nothing to play with any morphological aspect of the stem. So this upper angle between the stem and the leaf, this is known as axil or axil, and anything that arises from this area, this particular part, like the bud, axillary bud, that is known as axillary. So whatever is found in the axil of the leaf, it is axillary. So if it is a bud, then it is an axillary bud, and if it is a flower, then it is in the axial position or axillary position. So for example, this is a leaf, and when a flower arises in the axil of a leaf, it is known as, this leaf is known as bract, as we shall see. So let's draw a very simple diagrammatic. So now this particular flower is in axial position, it is axillary. Similarly, this bud, this is also axillary. So whatever that arises in this area between the leaf and the stem, the leaf may or may not be present. But anyway, Since it's flower, then this is a bract, and flower is arising in the axil of the bract, in the upper angle between the bract and the stem. So this is known as axil. Axil may bear one bud, or it may bear more than one bud. That will be discussed in the section or the portion of the chapter on buds. So more about that in the discussion on buds. So from the node, leaves arise, flowers arise when it's time, it's flowering time, blossoming. When the plant is blossoming, flowers arise at the node, buds arise from the node, which are known as axillary or lateral bud, and these buds, when they grow, they form the branches. Branches also arise from the node, because the bud which is present, it gives rise to the branch. So this is stem, and this is the leaf, and when the bud grows, it develops into a branch. So this is axillary branch, and branches are always axillary, and this is its own apical bud, and it has its own set of, as we have seen in the last video, that branch is also a shoot. So it has its own set of leaves. So as you can see, we have a branch which also arises from the node. So these are a few things which are formed at the node, and especially in this particular position, which is known as axial or lateral position. Leaves, flowers, buds, and branches, they all form at the node. And next is the internode. There's nothing special about internode except that it is the area between two consecutive or two successive nodes. So this is a node and this is a node, and then we have a node here, and leaves arise from the node. For example, these are alternate leaves. More about arrangement of the leaves in the chapter on leaves. So this area between two successive nodes is the internode. So this is the internode, and similarly this is also the internode, and this area between this node and the node below it is also an internode. So this area is the internode, and it depends upon the length of the stem or branch that how many internodes it contains. So simply, the area between the two successive or two consecutive nodes is known as internode, and as I said in the very first video, that we can define the internode in this way as well, that the distance or area between two nodes, excluding the word successive or consecutive. While this definition is correct, there's nothing wrong with it, but the problem is that which one of the two nodes we are referring to. Now this is a node and this is a node, so it's one node and this is the other node, although there is a node in between, but this is somewhat misleading and it is not very precise. So if we add the word consecutive or successive, so it clarifies the ambiguity and there is no confusion. Successive nodes one after the other. So the area between two successive or two consecutive nodes is known as internode. So this video was something about nodes and internodes, more about stem and shoot in the next video. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.